The strong commanded, and the weak obeyed. That was the law of the ancient Sumerian religion, a law that was followed even by the gods themselves. In this video, we'll learn about creation, divine incest, gods, human creation, Gilgamesh, the underworld, and its demons. Before you watch this video, tell me in the comments, do you think the Anunnaki were alien overlords who mated with monkeys to create humans? Don't worry, I'll only judge you a lot. The black-headed people, or Sumerians as we know them today, were likely driven out of their home in the east, probably near the archaeological sites of Gonur Tepe, Yanau, in today's Turkmenistan, due to severe droughts, and immigrated into the southern parts of Mesopotamia, a region between the rivers Tigris and Euphrates, in today's Iraq and Kuwait, around 5500 BCE. Once there, they interacted with the local peoples, especially the Ubaid people, who was the dominant culture in the region during the Al-Ubaid period from circa 6400 BCE to circa 4100 BCE. After the Al-Ubaid period, the Sumerians became the dominant people in Mesopotamia, with a civilization consisting of several city-states that were allied at times, but mostly waged brutal wars against each other. The history of the Sumerian society tells us that it was the first in many things, inventing many tools that are used until this day, such as writing. In the beginning, there was Nama, the great goddess of the primordial sea, which encompassed the entire existence. Then she gave birth to Anki, a great cosmic mountain composed by the union of An, the sky god, and Ki, the earth goddess, commonly known as Ninhursag. When these two gods were born, they were basically glued together, and because of that strong proximity, they conceived Enlil, the god of air and wind, thereby creating the atmosphere, which separated them a little. The separation was increased when An carried the lapis-lazuli sky to the great heights, and Enlil placed the earth over the primordial sea, therefore creating the world. And so the earth of Ninhursag provides a firm and fertile ground, the air of Enlil fills the entire world, and the sky dome of An prevents the torrential waters of Nama from entering the world and ushering its destruction. After an uncomfortable series of incestuous intercourse, several gods, or Dingir as they were called, were born and received their dominions, therefore ruling over certain aspects of reality according to their nature, or having burdens placed upon them by the more powerful gods, such as Enki, the god of wisdom, son of Nama, and An. According to the ancient Sumerians, the gods could transform themselves into any form, including animal, human, elements of nature, celestial bodies, or none, if they so wished. It's believed that the Sumerians had thousands of gods in their pantheon, but only 20 are the most commonly cited, and they are An, Ninhursag, Enlil, Enki, Nisaba, Ninlil, Nana, Nergal, Bau, Ninurta, Ereshkigal, Inanna, Utu, Marduk, Nanshe, Ninsina, Nungal, Dumuzid, Ningishzida, and Gilgamesh. These gods were part of the Anunna or Anunnaki class, and some, such as Marduk and maybe Enki, also belonged to the Nungalen class. In later periods, the word Anunnaki took over the word Dingir, the Sumerian word for God, and became synonymous with the word God, meaning that every single Sumerian god was in fact an Anunnaki, a word that can mean children of An, offspring of royalty, or offspring of the prince, but not all of them were made equal, since there was an upper echelon amongst them, which was called the Great Gods, and was comprised of An, the sky god, Ninhursag, the earth goddess, Enlil, the god of air and wind, Enki, the god of wisdom, Ishkur, the god of storms, hurricanes, lightning, and thunder, Ninlil, the queen of the gods, Nana, the moon god, Utu, the sun god, Inanna, the goddess of love, Ninurta, a warrior god, Nuska, the celestial emissary of Enlil, and Nisaba, the scribe goddess. And no, nowhere is written that they were aliens. As the name suggests, the underworld, or Great Below, known to the Sumerians as Kigal, was an immense region underneath the earth, right below Enki's subterranean ocean, called Abzu. It was ruled by the goddess Ereshkigal, but the sun god, Utu, was known as its supreme ruler. The underworld was encircled by a massive river called Idkura, and the first thing someone saw after crossing the waters via a ferryman, probably called Silwigi, was was Ereshkigal's palace, called Ganzer, and Niti, its gatekeeper. After entering its court, the dead were judged and then either set free to roam the dark and miserable great city of the dead, or thrown into Nungal's prison to have their hearts cooled. The Sumerian underworld was a horrible place. There was no hope for rewards after death or eternal rest, just hunger, thirst, and pain, unless you were a king. Most demons lived in the underworld, however they were not prisoners there, they just liked the darkness, but could also crawl their way to the surface, as they often did, to enter people's homes at night and sit by their beds, causing them horrific nightmares and several mental illnesses. These demons spawned into existence from the earth and were not able to tell right from wrong. They had vastly different forms, intelligences, and abilities, and were divided into many classes. One demon that rose above all others was the Asag. He was a brutal dictator who ruled over the foreigner lands and the mountains and its deities, until word of this got to the warrior god Ninurta. Ninurta got really mad about it and went on a rampage that only ended with him ragdolling the Asag and dancing over his corpse. That battle was horrible, and so many people died. Long after the initial creation, the gods built several cities, and then one day, Enki decided to build a perfect city, braggadocious fuck, for his wife, Ninskila, and so he did, because he was a god, and gods do whatever they want, especially when they are powerful. The city was called the Dilmun, and it truly was a paradise on earth, where there was no fear, war, sickness, old age, or death, and no one was ever sad. Imagine not being sad all the time. Dilmun was a prosperous paradise for quite some time, and during its glory, Enki and Ninhursag, Chitter, conceived several gods. The main one among them was Nanshe, the goddess of fishes and birds. Until this day, no one knows precisely where Dilmun was built, but it's believed that it actually existed and was probably destroyed by a great flood. Ooh, foreshadowing. Soon after Enki created Dilmun, and by that I mean after he forced the minor gods to build it, he decided to take a nap, and the minor gods, or Nungalene, were pissed. Their anger made Nama go down to the depths of the Abzu, Enki's great subterranean ocean, to wake him up and beg him to create a substitute for them, and that's why humans were made. After the gods formed humans out of the clay of the Abzu, they decided to do a fun challenge and create humans with deformities, handicaps, and severe illnesses. And they also established human reproduction and made a weird-looking baby called a Mul, but it was all fine in the end, because no matter how messed up humans were, we all had a place in this world, according to the gods. In the beginning, the gods loved humankind a bit too much at times, but something pissed them off, dude, and they got together in a council meeting and were like, let's kill humans, they're annoying, and the other gods were like, aye, so they brought down a great flood. Yes, the one I foreshadowed. Foreshadowed? Is that a word? Foreshadowed. The one I foreshadowed. However, before the flood came, a humble king called Noah, Ziusudra, built a giant boat filled with animals and probably some people as well. And after 7 days, humans didn't die, and so the gods just gave up. What? Why? Why not fire or sex robots? Not only did the gods give up, but also made Ziusudra immortal and let him rule a kingdom east of the city of Dilmun. What the Well, I guess they felt embarrassed. Gilgamesh was a Sumerian demigod and king of the city of Uruk, who killed a snake at the base of the first tree, called Halub tree, killed the first ever recorded monster, called Huawa, for no reason whatsoever, killed the bull of heaven, which was probably a chthonic god, called Gugalana, who was brought to earth by the goddess Inanna, the goddess of love, which was also Gugalana's sister-in-law, to kill Gilgamesh. Yeah, that angered her sister, and Gilgamesh also lost some toys that fell into the underworld, which resulted in his slave and best friend Enkidu dying whilst trying to recover them. What a jerk! Utu, the sun god, brought Enkidu's soul from the underworld to say goodbye to Gilgamesh, and after hearing his friend's account of the afterlife, he became terrified of dying, but died anyway and became a king and judge in the underworld. The Anunnaki were worshipped by everyone, even though some were more akin to demons. They received oblations of all sorts, such as animal meat, vegetables, cakes, valuable items, and weapons, because it was believed that only they could ease the human suffering in the underworld, mainly by providing them with food and water. Nowhere in the Sumerian clay tablets we read about spaceships or monkey shagging, but that could have been a Babylonian thing. I don't know.
Boo!